Hi, my name is Jered Montgomery. I'm the trumpet professor at Morton College and Musical Expressions in Naperville, Illinois, and I'm a freelance trumpet player in the city of Chicago. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the second part, the Allegro part of Ropartz' Andante as Allegro. So, in this, we hear piano going bum buddy doddy 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 bum buddy doddy, and we come in a very much contrasting view from what we had just played in the Andante section. This is very uplifting and very light, and just much different in terms of articulation. I'll go ahead and play just a little bit of a section of it so you can hear it. Okay, so it is very, very, very typical for young players to just bash this piece, to absolutely bash it, and a bell curve starts to happening in your practice. And what happens is you learn the notes and you learn the rhythms, and you keep playing at performance tempo, and you keep playing at performance tempo, and hey, it goes up, you're getting better, you're getting better, you're getting better. And then all of a sudden it plateaus because you've reached the point where your trumpet playing and your knowledge of the piece are the same level. And what we have to do is use the piece of music to improve your trumpet playing. For most players, this section is going to present probably about 3 different aspects that's going to be different and difficult for a young player. Number 1 is hitting every pitch right in the center of the horn. Now we can do that in a couple different ways. We can practice this in a couple different ways to make sure that it is going up. And the first thing is just slur everything. We slur everything. That way our airflow is not impeded by anything, our tongue is not getting in the way of our airflow, and we're making sure we're hitting every note as we go all the way up. Another thing we can do is wind pattern this. Now when we wind pattern it, we can do it in a couple different ways. I like to listen to the front of the articulation. Every note is the same length on the trumpet. Every note is the same length. It's the amount of front that you put on the note that gives it the illusion of long or short. Okay? Here in Chicago, we like to play everything long. And what we find out is practicing the wind pattern in such a fashion as gets us to use the syllables that we need to help us with our range, which is our next issue that this is going to provide quite a challenge for. If we wind pattern this, and you have to be very, very honest with yourself. After you wind pattern it, did you use the same air when you played it? If you did, excellent. If you did not, go back and wind pattern it again and keep wind patterning it until it's the same air and it feels the same way, okay? As far as range goes, we're going to be using quite a bit of syllables. For on the trumpet, we like when we play low, to, ta, 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 ti, 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 hiss like a cat. That's where your tongue needs to be to play these upper level notes. And the reason is air comes up, it's going really quick, and then it hits this giant bulge in your mouth and the airspeed slows down, and then we say, hold on, you got to go in that hole right there. What happens, we have to make the oral cavity smaller so it zips into the mouthpiece, okay? That's why that happens. Higher notes need zippier air. It needs quicker air. Let's keep going. The small interlude. And you wouldn't believe the amount of players I hear this that don't play that soft. It's very soft and think linear. This music is all about change and opposites. It's Andante and Allegro It's soft and it's loud. It's fast and it's slow. It's slurred and it's staccato. Okay, it's all about this contrast, and this is what makes great music great music. In fact, Tom Stevens, the retired principal trumpet of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, recorded this piece on one of his solo albums because it's a great piece of music, and a lot of times it's overlooked because it's been thrown in the junior high and high school band solo and ensemble contest category for a long time, but this is actually a great piece of music. Okay, now if we look at the next part, all right, here it comes, right? This is the section, right, that a lot of people struggle with. Correct rhythm is what we're looking for. My friend Aaron Moore always says Amsterdam. That's what you have to say during it. Dun, 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 dun. And now we're going for lightness here, okay? Lightness. Okay, now, of all of this, we're really working on absolute articulation. Articulation is just diction. It's diction in music. And depending on your hall is how much front you're going to have to give it. I practice this with all different fronts, from to, and making sure I can put that same airstream into the horn. Again, slurring everything is going to make you use a great airstream and center all of the notes on the horn. As we play, as we tongue, there's more tension that occurs in the body itself. The body just gets tense. It gets tense because we like to make the trumpet a lot more difficult than it really is. Every time you take a breath, boom, it's a reset. It's an absolute reset. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, every time you breathe, it's a complete reset. That's where, at the end of that whole segment, dun, 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 you reset as far as tension goes. Drop your shoulders, okay? All right, the next section. Mysterious. Back to the same thing. Then the last section. And this is a great piece of music to explain how to prepare recital pieces. Traditionally, when we get a recital piece or a piece for solo and ensemble contest, we start at the beginning of the piece and we work and we work and we work and we work, and our brains get tired, our chops get tired, our attention span gets tired, and we never make it to the last portion of the piece, which is oftentimes the most difficult. And the problem where you're going to be in performance and you're going to go, oh, Jesus, just get me through this thing. Practice in reverse order. The last part of the piece first and go backwards, especially the closer you get to performance. We want to make these high notes, these higher pitches, effortless. And the way we're going to do that is make sure that we're not spread. Our chops are not spread, okay? Now you can do this in a couple different ways, and this is going to give you the feeling of strange, okay? Arnold Jacobs always described it to you as the feeling of strange. Whenever you put on a new mouthpiece, you're like, oh man, this new mouthpiece is amazing. And then you play it for 3 days, and then you put your old mouthpiece back on, and you're like, oh, there it is. Okay, maybe it isn't so amazing. It's the feeling of strange that makes it, you know, better almost, you know. Here, we're going to be talking about getting our chops closer together. And we do that by taking away the tongue when we start the note and doing breath attacks, okay? The trumpet player's chops should rest around an E in the staff, okay? An E, like fourth space E, okay? Now, how we practice that is this is going to feel a little bit strange at the beginning. I'm going to say M, poo. And I'm only going to start the note with the airstream. The thing is, when we start it with the tongue, what happens is a little explosion of air happens. And that little explosion of air causes the chops to vibrate no matter where they are, okay? Make sure they're together. Now, that's going to feel strange, and it might feel different. You might think, oh, this is the correct way to play the trumpet. If it feels strange and you're like, oh, I don't like that at all, well, try it out for a week and see if your range improves, because I guarantee it will. It's easier to be closer to high notes and blow down to low notes than it is to be close to low notes, spread to play low notes, and then try to go high. It's impossible. David Hickman describes it as the fulcrum idea, the fulcrum being like a pivot point on a lever. Most trumpet players' fulcrum is toward the low side, and then they're like, uh-oh, can't get up to the high notes. Set it up here. Set it closer to the high notes. You can blow down to them, okay? Now, again, same rules apply as it did in the first section on this. Okay, nice. All the way up. If you combine that airstream with chops that are close together, good things will happen, okay? The next section. Again, that rule where you have 2 consecutive pitches, you have to emphasize the second pitch just a bit. Also, give this line some shape. Give it some shape. As it goes up, get a little bit louder. As it goes down, get a little bit softer. C. C marked in my part, I'm not sure. The second dun dun dun. Okay, here, the slower broadly part. This is a flow study in its truest form, okay? This is where breath attacks are going to help, and I'll explain those breath attacks here. This is a great portion to do it. I'm not using any tongue, I'm just going to start the note. On the D. Poo, okay? And when we start the note, we always think T-U or T-O-O. And everybody has it just backwards. They capitalize the T and they lowercase the little notes. Just the opposite. A small letter T and a heavy follow through, okay? Now, these accents right here mean short. That's true. Short and hot in jazz band. In classical music, I'll put a little bit more length on them, okay? Finish big. Now, the ending part of this is the most crash and burn section that any trumpet player has ever experienced. What I do here, again, slurring at slow tempos is going to help. Making sure that as you go low, you don't drop that fulcrum. You don't spread those lips out, because if you spread the lips out to get the low notes, you're going to have trouble getting back up to the high ones. Learn how to blow down to them by relaxing and not spreading, okay? Relaxing and not spreading. Also, whenever another practice situation that I might do, starting at that ending, the ending Allegro, is stopping on random notes and making sure they're centered. Oh, sorry. Know your D major arpeggios. This also gets into something else where we can use supplemental studies to help us with the piece we're working on. Go to the Arbin book and do a lot of exercises, arpeggios, major arpeggios, minor arpeggios in D. Okay? This will get us used to playing in this key. Obviously, we want to be able to play in all keys as comfortably as possible, but when you're a young player and you haven't learned all of this technical rep in the Arbin book, in the Clark book, and the Goldman book, and all of these very, very basic trumpet technique books, pull them out whenever you have a piece that requires you to play in that key. And it will help. It will most definitely help your trumpet playing. Again, keeping the chops very close together and keeping air every time you take a breath, resetting as far as tension. Okay. I hope this helps Melora. I hope this helps your student, and good luck. Feel free to send me videos. My email address is Jered, Jered.mont, M-O-N-T, @gmail.com. Feel free to email. Check out my website, www.jered-montgomery.squarespace.com. And I hope everybody enjoys this great piece of music. It's been around for a zillion years, I think over 100 years, and it's still applicable to teach and to learn from. So I'll see you next time. Great. Thanks. Bye.